An exciting new prototype class for international sports car racing. Here to talk about it, the men behind the project, Lawrence Tomlinson of Ginetta and Professor George Holmes from the University of Bolton. Out you come, fellas. Yeah, those two there, thanks guys. You bought your fan club. And I've just met Gordon Burns, which is absolutely classic. So just a voice of my childhood. Legend. Good to see you, Happy New Year. Exciting project, LMP3. Just strip it back for us and give us the kind of bare bones of the whats, the whys and the whens.
Well, the LMP3 project, Ginetta decided to take up the ACO's challenge of providing a budget car to enter the Le Mans Series, in particular the European Le Mans Series and also the Asian Le Mans Series. And so with the three categories that you now have at the top of world prototype sports car racing is LMP1, where you've got the Nissan that's coming out, the Toyotas, Audis, Porsches, with full-time drivers and huge budgets. And then underneath that you've got the LMP2s, where you've got teams that are running on pretty high budgets and have a gentleman driver and probably a couple of pro drivers. And the idea is that LMP3 is out now to make it affordable for young drivers coming through and get more people to come into the ranks of the European Le Mans Series. And Ginetta's really excited about it, and we've taken up the challenge of building a whole carbon tub car to the latest specifications that the ACO require, crash testing it, developing it, producing it, and getting it out there with its Nissan engine and X-Track gearbox for a price of £160,000. And to put that into context, a very similar car in terms of lap times, the LMP2 car, is costing around £400,000. So it's a huge engineering feat and one that Ginetta have taken on, and I'm absolutely delighted about the way it's gone.
Did the FIA approach you, or did they put it out to tender and you won it?
Well, anyone can make an LMP3 car. Currently we seem to be leading the way with it. We've got 9 cars that we're hoping to have out for the first race. We'll definitely have the cars out, and I know we've sold 8 of them. Team LNT, my team, are running 2 of the cars so that we can support the other 6 or 7 teams that are on the grid. And yeah, it's been a challenge, but any other manufacturer can join and come and race against Ginetta. If they can produce a car for £160,000, including the drivetrain, bring it on.
Cool. George, what's your involvement in this, and the university's involvement indeed?
Well, at the University of Bolton we have an advanced performance engineering centre, and that prepares people for work in the motorsport engineering field. And clearly Ginetta are quite enterprising and indeed are offering a unique first run at this LMP3 project. And so we wanted to involve people at the student level, on the track and in the workshop in the studio in the LMP3 project. So Lawrence and the university have had a relationship through the Ginetta Juniors and the G40s and through the G55s, and we wanted to be involved at this pinnacle now in terms of this new provision.
You've got a car on campus, and your guys can really get under the skin of it and work out what's what.
Yeah, and more than that, our guys are actually helping Lawrence's team in the whole bringing that project to fruition. So you've got a student experience where you've got new and really cutting-edge work going on. So they're not just on campus learning from books, they're not just on campus learning from workshops, they're actually on the track, but they're also developing with a manufacturer a world-leading new product. How good is that for a student?
And eventually they might be employed by you as mechanics, engineers.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to tie up with University of Bolton to have their students at our factory. So when somebody comes up to University of Bolton and wants to to join their graduate program in motorsport or advanced engineering or whatever it is, they'll be able to spend time at Ginetta. We'll be able to evaluate the students that we want to keep. Probably, being relatively selfish, we'd love to take the cream of the crop. We have worked with other universities in the past, but University of Bolton are just pushing ahead with this, and are really leading from the front. George is doing a great job, in my opinion, promoting British engineering and getting students to come into engineering. And from my time role as entrepreneur in residence to the UK government, the government are crying out for new engineers. And you can put a little ad in the paper and say, would you like to be an engineer? And people can think, oh, if I become an engineer, what do? Do I fix somebody's fan belt? Or you alternatively can do what George is doing and saying, let's work with a British manufacturer, get involved with a very sexy, high-profile racing program, have our students involved with it, and it's a really good marketing tool. Now, I'm just looking down here at this absolutely beautiful Porsche 919 hybrid. If you look at the Ginetta LMP3 car, it's almost indiscernible from that car. I remember when we first started doing all the CAD design on this and the aero design, my little boy came in to the office. He's now 10, and he said he could see obviously the orange car that was rendered there, and he said, "Daddy, why have you got an orange Audi LMP1 car on the screen?" And I thought,
where did you get that from?
I thought we're onto an absolute winner here, because if a 10-year-old thinks that we are building and selling what is a multi-million-pound Audi LMP1 car for 160 grand, it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. And the teams here at Autosport who are looking at getting involved with LMP, the Ginetta LMP3 program is fabulous. It's bringing new drivers into the sport and putting an extra 9 cars on the European Le Mans Series grid, the Asian Le Mans Series, and also having a Ginetta track day car on the back of it for the similar price. It's just a phenomenal opportunity for everybody.
George, you're talking about getting the sort of the cream of the crop, but at university level, the standard's high already.
I mean, at university level, advanced performance engineering is probably at the University of Bolton one of the top subjects that we do. And there's a lot of science, a lot of mathematics in there, but there's also an awful lot of practical-based engineering. So you get a combination here of advancing the nation's skill base and at the same time developing work-ready students for an industry. So there's never been a better time in employment terms for young people to think about engineering as a career. And engineering is not dull. Engineering is not. It is a difficult subject, but it's an achievable subject with the right application. And so students can come along to this type of program, work with great employers and organisations like Ginetta, and actually find themselves long-term, lifelong employable with the skills they get with an engineering and motorsport degree.
Are you a motorsport enthusiast yourself?
Never had any interest in motorsport whatsoever until this project.
Until now, yeah.
Until this project. So it's not.
Thank God for that.
So it's not me driving this agenda because I'm interested in motorsport. What it's about is saying there's a national agenda here to get young people into engineering. We're very keen in Bolton to get young women into engineering, as being in there as engineers. And you go along to some of the great companies, you'll find now that many of their testing and senior engineers are women. The more women we can get into engineering in our university at Bolton, the better.
I think that the challenge that George has had is breaking the mould and basically having the balls to say, I'm going to buy a nice shiny piece of car that portrays this image, which can be a little bit scary to someone in education. It's very easy to go and buy a machine tool and know what it's going to do and sit it in a corner, and that would be the very, very safe option. And what George is doing is challenging the establishment and saying, look, I can get more people into engineering by doing something really exciting here and getting it out. And I would think today, just with the press that George has had on his stand with the launch of the LMP3 car, attracting students. We had the sort of Chinese ambassador came onto the stand, and he'll be placing students with George, and we'll be creating business links with that. So it's just win-win. And for me, Ginetta tying up with a university, it's quite interesting hearing George say, well, my students come out very practical. As an employer, we take students on, and we see some that come out and they come, right, I've done a motorsport degree now, and they come into the factory and they think they're going to be at the racetrack, taking the front wheel off of my GT3 car, putting a new one on and going out. Well, no, you're not. You've got a lot of things to work on to do that. And what this course allows them to do is have the practical experience whilst they're still at university. So if they didn't come to Ginetta, they could go to Aston or Jaguar or whoever it was, and they would have the practical experience about knowing what it's like to be in a high pressure situation, a car coming in at 60 miles an hour, stopping inches away from you, taking air jacks going up, tyre on, tyre off, and sending a guy out whose life depends on you fitting that front wheel properly. So that's what they get to learn, and we're really excited about Bolton University being part of our Ginetta family.
Good stuff. Good to hear about it, guys. We'll watch with interest how it develops. And what's the target for the number of cars? How many do you want to build? Sky the limit.
Well, the interesting thing is that you could have shied away from this project because it's cost capped. Building a Le Mans prototype car, like this, was quite a few £1 million worth have gone into this. I don't know what their budget is, but I would reckon £100 million. So for us to make a car and sell it complete with drivetrain for £160,000 ready to go is a huge challenge. Now, to do that, you've got to build it in volume, and you've got to basically have the balls to do that. So our first batch of LMP cars was 15 cars. Now, no one expected anyone doing more than 3, I believe. So we've done 15, we've got track cars that we're going to sell across the world. I think we probably could do anywhere up to about 50 cars in the very, very near future. So it's really exciting about getting people into these high-performance Le Mans prototype cars, worldwide market.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. Lawrence Tomlinson and George Holmes, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Henry.